Hello and welcome to another edition of Reboot India. With us today is the management of Siemens, Sunil Mathur himself, joining us for an in-depth conversation on how things are evolving on ground and after a very encouraging set of numbers as well for the quarter. Mr. Mathur, great to have you with us here on ET Now.
Thank you very much.
Let me start off by asking you what you've seen in terms of the impact of the lockdown, the supply chain this time around with the second wave. What were some of the key implications and how you really managed those as a company?
Well, I think there has been a range of experiences during the lockdown time. The first wave was not as intense and we were all at home, and it was a period of getting used to working from home. But then that extended into a short period where we thought this is behind us now, and things began to open up. We opened our factories, we opened our offices cautiously, but that was just for a short period of about 2 months' time. And then the second wave really came in. Now, the second wave has been much more intense, as we all know. It did have an impact on operations initially, but that started somewhere towards the mid part of March and went in well into April and May as well. So I think we retreated back into the offices. Our factories, however, continued working. We had sporadic cases of COVID in them, but the management of the factories were able to juggle those capacities and manage that the health and safety of the employees came first, and in spite of that, keep the manufacturing activities running. So there has been really very little serious disruption to our manufacturing, and our employees have gotten used to working from home. So that really helped in keeping the business moving in the second quarter, January-March quarter. Starting April onwards, things got even more intense as far as COVID is concerned, and we became even more cautious. I think now switching to the business angle, we saw a real pent-up demand getting released from July onwards, and that went on until December. But we were surprised, very pleasantly surprised by the speed of the turnaround. And post-December, January to March quarters were also very good, with both private as well as government capex really kicking off. So that was really heartening. And we got a lot of interest in digital projects, a lot of interest in automation. Government spending started happening in the January to March quarter. The last quarter, April to where we are today, I'd like to say that the short supply products and our short supply items, the demand for them continues. There has been a slowdown in long-term projects, primarily infrastructure projects in our transmission, generation, distribution side. Primarily, these are government-related in the states, as the states battle with COVID on the one hand, but also dealing with the demand requirements. Some of the old capex has not really panned out. And therefore they're waiting for that to happen before they start ordering fresh. So things in the states and with government spending actually did slow down or has slowed down.
Okay. So many points there to sort of dive into in more detail, and we'll do that shortly. Also want to get a point of view from you on the export markets as well, and what you're seeing on that front. Are you seeing good traction? I mean, you have somewhat indicated that this quarter, but what's the outlook there?
Yes, Ava, I think the export market continued during the crisis, and actually we were one of the few countries, probably the only countries, that had the lockdown, and our manufacturing operations were impacted in terms of the export. So there was a lot of concern there from international customers whether we would be able to meet our export commitments. I think the last few months have really helped, and the export demand, it continues there. We are hopeful about the increase in demand with the recent announcements of stimulus made by the United States and a couple of other countries as well. So we do believe this is the right time to focus on exports as well. Of course, we are urgently waiting for the RoDTEP to be rolled out. That will give a major boost for exports, which at this time is really critical for the economy.
Okay. What about margins as well? Share with us the outlook on that front, and then we'll get into, of course, some of the more strategic lines that the company is taking. I mean, recently as well, we did see a sharp rise in raw material costs, but this was offset by strong realizations. Do you see that continuing?
Well, commodity prices have gone up. Transport costs have gone up substantially, and we're talking between 20 to 40%. So it's very difficult really to offset those kind of prices or cost increases with other cost-saving measures. Of course, the fact that there have been foreign exchange gains and to some extent helped offset that. But to a large extent, I think commodity prices are continuing to be high. I can't predict when they will come down, whether they will come down in the short term or not. But this is really an area of concern, and that is actually slowing down demand from our customers here as well, because many customers are waiting for commodity prices, transport costs to come down, because it impacts their business cases as well. So we are cautious about that really, and while we are cutting a lot of costs to try and offset some of these things, but you can't set off completely the huge increase there. The shortage of semiconductors has been a major increase as well, and in the impact here. And I think this is something that may go on for a longer period, and that was impacting both the demand side, with automotive companies being really hit as a result, and FMCG companies being hit as a result of that, and that really slows down the market as well. So I think there will be margin pressure in general in the next couple of months. We'll have to wait and see how long the commodity prices continue to be at the level at which they currently are.
Okay. Now, if we talk about mobility, digitization, smart infrastructure, some of these segments, and clearly that's where the market is more excited as well. You've entered into various agreements, to offer innovative and customized solutions as well to the industry via some of these new age technologies. Share with us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely, Ava. So, I think the pandemic has, and we've all experienced it, we're all working from home. The pandemic has really accelerated the pace of digitalization by almost 1 or 2, if not longer period of time here in the country. Customers that were cautious about implementing digital solutions are now actually very keen to start looking at them and implementing them sooner than later. And this is really translated into a whole new increase in solutions such as Industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, virtual reality, etc., etc. And these are really things that have gained a huge amount of momentum. Now, where is this really having an impact? I think, market verticals like the food and beverage industry or the pharmaceuticals or the automotive are really seeing a huge amount of traction that they can get by introducing digital solutions here in the country and in their companies. Indeed, it brings about speed of going to market when you introduce a new drug and you want to scale it up. It reduces the time to the market by introducing Industry 4.0 technologies. It also has brought in areas where you can reduce costs. And since costs and capex and cash are really in short supply right now, this is where our entire offering of digital solutions across the entire spectrum of a manufacturing company has come in very, very handy. Another area that has really picked up has been the e-vehicles and the e-charging technologies that we have, where we bring in new technologies in terms of infrastructure and charging stations with fast chargers for commercial vehicles. And here, as you're probably aware, we signed an MOU with Switch Mobility, where we will introduce new business models of, for example, e-mobility as a service to commercial vehicle manufacturers and suppliers there as well. I think the dedicated freight corridors have opened up a huge new area for our mobility offerings and the electrification that they are doing right now in signaling as well. So there's a lot happening right now in this space, and technology is going to be really the front runner to see how we can bring speed, flexibility, cost saving, as well as capex saving into our customers, while increasing their productivity as well as the time they can come to market with new solutions.
Okay, fantastic. Now, going forward, given the current environment, are you concerned at all of factoring in the possibility of a third wave? And given the kind of momentum that we've started to see, the pickup in the demand environment, what is giving you the confidence that this trend will sustain? I mean, are you anticipating any medium-term bumps? Is it a longer-term picture? Or are you now confident that the recovery will continue in a sustained manner from here on?
I think about the fact that the January to March quarter showed a clear uptick in demand, both on the private sector as well as in the government sector, gives us hope that there is real a pull and the demand is intrinsic in the system. I'm very hopeful of the implementation of the National Infrastructure Pipeline that was announced. The announcements made in the budget have been excellent, and I'm really hopeful that these will now start getting implemented. The first quarter of this calendar year, January to March, picked up beyond the pent-up demand as private customers started preparing for a time after COVID. Government spending did start to see an increase. I believe there may be a slight slowdown in the current quarter, in the April to June quarter in general, but I think so long as a third wave does not come and is not materially impacting the economy, I am hopeful of the mid-term stroke long-term demand actually picking up. Now, we are gearing ourselves, of course, for all the eventualities. I think the experience of the last year and a half have shown us that we need to be agile and flexible to meet all the eventualities. There are a lot of lessons learned out of the last 1.5 years, which I hope is going to hold us in good stead in the next couple of months. So I am cautiously optimistic about the next couple of months, medium term as well as in the long term, I think we've got the announcements of the budget, which were absolutely terrific. And now if we can implement on those, we will start seeing a revival in the demand. Private sector did start getting much more bullish, looking actually at the end of wave one for a time after COVID and gearing up in terms of fresh investments. It has slowed down, but not materially yet, as we see it in the current quarter. I think a lot will depend on how long the gap is between the second and possibly a third wave. The fact that the second wave is coming down already and lockdowns are slowly being cautiously lifted is a positive sign, and I hope things don't slow down further. Government investments will have to pick up now. They have been distracted by COVID substantially right now, and rightly so. But I think they will need to come back quickly, particularly in the states, to start ordering, and the central plans of the NIP will need to start rolling out if we are to see government spending really being the driver for fresh capex and for the economy, and an uplift in demand in the economy in the years ahead.
All right, fantastic. When we're talking about the private sector and domestic markets between cement, chemicals, pharma, F&B, where are you seeing the capex? Where are you seeing the maximum traction, if we were to break it down a little?
I think you mentioned, Abha, all the verticals where we are seeing the greatest traction. It is in cement, it is in steel, it is in food and beverages, it is in pharmaceutical, and it is in chemicals as well. And we are seeing a clear impact of that in terms of both brownfield projects, OPEX activities going on, automation, digitalization needs being expressed, but also plans that have come out of the drawers for expansion, fresh capex in these areas in the period January to March. Currently, they have not gone back into the drawers. So I think everyone is hopeful that the downturn in the number of cases of COVID will speeden up, and that they can continue with their plans. Of course, people are cautious about a potential third wave. But right now, we have not seen in these particular areas a real slowdown happening.
Where do you see the challenges, Sunil? While you've mentioned how both in terms of government orders, new innovative strategies, a pickup across key verticals are all coming together, where do you feel we'll still see a bit of difficulty, any obstacle, challenges, apart from, of course, the third wave, but actually in terms of, keeping that order momentum going?
I think the first major challenge that we are going to face, Abha, is going to be the vaccinations. We have to speed this up. This is important for investment sentiment. This is important for project execution and implementation. And business plans are always prepared based on very strict and very aggressive timelines. And vaccinations is going to be central to ensuring that entrepreneurs are really in a position to start investing. So vaccinations, number one. The second real challenge is going to be implementation of the NIP. Now the government has announced in the budget the disinvestments, the DFI, as well as a whole slew of projects under the NIP. This is going to be critical that the government starts really demonstrating real execution on this. This will also boost investor confidence and create a fresh pipeline of demand right through the economy. I think we will need to do a lot more. The government will need to do a lot more in providing support to bottom of the pyramid who have really had it rough now for almost the entire period, and that includes MSMEs as well. I think fiscal stimulus is going to be critical here. For example, the enhancement of the emergency credit linked guarantee scheme is going to be really important for the MSMEs in particular. Finally, demand will also come through exports, and we mentioned it, spoke about it earlier. It is really time now to introduce the RoTEP scheme, because that is really what will make us competitive at a time when the whole world is looking at India as being an alternative sourcing base for manufacturing and for stuff that is coming out and is required around the world. We do need that fillip in our export readiness there. So I think there are a lot of areas and a lot of challenges that we have in front of us, but the government is really going to need to start taking one step after the other and really demonstrating execution on all of these. I know it has been a difficult time and the priorities have been elsewhere right now, but we now really need to put our nose to the grindstone and start vaccinations, execution on the NIP, rollout of a fiscal support scheme, as well as the RoTEP scheme for the exports.
Fabulous. Sunil, you've articulated this so well in terms of all the different elements that need to come together. You know, I just have one sort of concluding question for you. But you're a unique company in the sense that you're straddling both the old economy and the new economy businesses. In a sense, they all come together there. Going forward, do you see the basic nature of that integration changing, evolving with more of a focus on the digitization play? It's already happening, of course, but how do you see that balance shaping up for Siemens going forward?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the speed of technology introduction is going to be enormous. And we are seeing that, and we experienced that already in the last 6 months. The moment things opened up in July, there was a major interest in digitalization. Tell us what is possible. Tell us how we can do remote monitoring. Tell us how we can increase the speed and flexibility of our manufacturing. And the world has experienced in the last year and a half how there is a real need to be agile, to be flexible. The word volatility and VUCA has taken a completely different meaning. And we've all experienced it and continue to experience it on a day-to-day basis. So I think technology stepping in at this point in time has become a real need and has become a real experience that all of us have experienced. Many paradigms have been broken, and I do believe as new areas of technology come in and are introduced and the speed of technology increases, we will as a country have that opportunity to step up to the challenge, because I have absolutely no doubt India does have the intellectual capability. We have the best software minds in the world. We have the opportunity to be one of the major manufacturing hubs of the world. If we can bring this all together and get our infrastructure in place, I think there's nothing to stop us as a growing economy here, but also on the global, to be a relevant player on the global scene.
Sunil, fabulous as always to speak with you. Thanks so much for taking out the time and joining us on this special edition of Reboot India. Thank you, and we hope to hear from you again very soon.
Thank you for having me.